your voice has been recorded into a little scan disc, which I'm going to upload to YouTube. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. May I have your attention, please? All quiet, please. All right, so welcome at-home viewers. Quinn, Darren, Garrett. I've actually heard from pretty much most of you guys. Actually, all of you. Well done, because they were looking for the Google Classroom link, because I'm using Google Classroom again since I had to last quarter. Fun. And you guys as well. Go ahead and write it down. There it is. Seriously, because in class, we'll be doing a lot of stuff in here, notes. And particularly like, I think for like this Cold War unit, let me see, is there a really good documentary series on the Cold War that would really work for at-home required viewing? Yes, and I'll have the links, although how hard is it to Google in YouTube to find each of these different episodes? Not very hard. So, but I'll have those. So there we go. 5UVXGKO. Yeah, so you can do that at home. I'll be posting that like tonight. I'll put, when I get home today, I'll load up 12th grade. I'll load up 11th grade. I'll load up 10th grade. I'll load up 9th grade. And then I'll put any additional instructions in there for you. I don't think well, look for it, because if I do, I'll post it. But like yesterday's group, I didn't have any homework for them to do today in class. Some of your classes you may have, and there will be, because in here, I mean, I'm the direct instruction, I'm the lecture guy. I get a lot of content done in class. Have you noticed that? Translation. There's not as much homework in as compared to, say, the other classes, right? So the other classes, you've got reading and writing and so forth to do, and so for me, it's a bit of a challenge when I don't have that 90 minutes. Now, granted, I mix it up. So like with for this Cold War unit, most of it's like half of it is an instruction and half is the video. So I think we'll be all right there. The question is, you're wondering is like, why is he even talking about this? Because you're in class half as much. So question, are you going to be able to be ready for what you need to be ready for? I don't know, what are you going to need to be ready for at the end of your senior year? The IB exams, yeah. Or just the unit exams as we go along, because we're always going to be doing unit exams, yes, okay? Yeah, I mean, and I do look it over to Satara, because Satara missed out on the 11th grade IB history. So therefore, no, I mean, that's cool, because she was getting the government credit, which is, I mean, it's always a challenge when you transfer one school to the other. If you guys were to transfer now over to like Rocky or Eagle or something like that, they'd look at your transcript and go, wow, you're a senior and you don't have to take government. You already did. You don't have to take econ. You already did. Those are courses that are traditionally taught at the 12th grade. I know they were at Capital, where I used to teach, and I believe at the West Ada schools they do that as well. So we'll be fine. I've got good news for you as we go along here. I'm going to help you through. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. We're going to have a good year, and this will be my last year with you. I'm on a contract for 1 year at a time. And this is an interesting year because we've got all these various different health challenges. So, I mean, I know like some teachers close to retirement, they're like, yeah, that's it, bye. You know, I mean, students are like, yeah, you can't really retire now, you're too young. But, you know, you're doing alternative education. Some students are doing the online North Star, right? Other students are doing like online somewhere else. But, I mean, you got to keep moving forward. And when you get to a point where you're old and you've built up some retirement and so forth, then you look at your options and go, do I come back another year or what? As long as it's safe, I know like Miss Rouse, she's going to be here. She likes teaching. I mean, I was like, I got 2 more books to write. I mean, I got 2 more books to write. And I can't really afford to do that until I can reach like, ding, 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 the retirement thing. For those of you guys who are geeks into that sort of thing, you're like, oh, here's old people talking about the rule of 90. You're like, what? You get like a good retirement thing when your chronological age plus the number of years you've worked in like government. For me, that's mostly public education, although I worked 4 years as a lawyer. When that reaches 90, and I don't hit that until after next year. But we'll see. This year, you're going to hear from me. It's going to be good. We're going to get you to where you need to go. In spite of perhaps some challenges last quarter, some of you guys for your internal assessments and so forth, we'll talk about that, but you'll be in good shape. Question? I'll answer that real quick. To reduce the number of papers transferring germs and yucky things like that, we're not doing daily warm-up. We're not doing the formative assessment. That also helps save some time. Okay? Those are really cool schooly kind of things, and you're like, but I like those were easy points. Okay, so here's an easy point for you. Come here, wipe the desk down at the end of the class period, which, by the way, when 11 o'clock comes around, we'll have these guys go first. Right behind Mrs. Tucker, there is like you've probably gotten familiar already with like the bail with the little wipey things. So you can wipe down your desks or desks. You're welcome for leaving a desk next to the desk so you can spread out your stuff. I mean, look, nobody except for maybe Ashton has not spread out onto the other desk. And Satara, sorry. I mean, whatever, it's your choice. You can if you want to. So yeah, but wipe that down, and then you guys will have we'll leave here at 11:03. Let me check this. You turn to the right. That is not a political statement. You turn to the right for safety. Head to the bathroom, whatever you're going, or what? You guys all have a class together next, or is it? It's an elective, isn't it? It's an elective one. Yeah. Okay. So, question. There's like, I haven't figured out exactly, it's like, come to class, oh, here's one. Stay awake points. How about that? Yes! What do you mean? I didn't point out anybody in particular. I know. Actually, that's a good point. That is a good point.
I liked it.
But no, and as far as notes go, I'll tell you this right now. You need to take notes. I will not give you points for notes. I'm not going to have you turn in your notes. A couple things. One, the note value, point value, goes down over time anyway. Okay? And so by the senior year, it's like de minimis. You're like, well, why should I take notes then? Why should you take notes? I mean, what value is there in taking notes? Having notes, using notes from whatever sources. What value is there? Livy, what value is there? Thank you, Satara. Yes. I mean, yes, you weren't even with these guys in my 11th grade IB history. But it's the same thing in all my classes. It helps you get ready for the tests. And for the IB history exams at the end of your senior year, you've got good notes to refer to. Yeah. I'll talk about that. I call on people who raise their hands. I'll ask you this. One, raise your hands if we could do a film festival. You'd like to get together with your buddies and do a film like a film project. Okay, all right. Actually, it's quite a few. I mean, it is a fun project, right? I mean, and it's very different than like, the note taking, getting ready for tests and things like that. I think it's probably, I'm not even going to put that to the school yet to even try and get permission from that because there's so many social distancing issues, and if it's a required school project. I mean, last semester there was one group of 10th graders that actually they got together before the whole quarantine thing, and they were able to get everybody in the group in a video. Others, I want to say like Tara and Sage and some others, did like at-home video things with family members and things like that, and so that was cool. So you guys remember that ended up being like an exempt grade, although some people are like, yeah, I still want to do it. They did it. I think Garrett. Wait, no, you did. You guys did. I'm sorry. Jackson's like, thanks for forgetting me. No, yeah, you guys put that together. But yours guys was, I mean, because you guys did a lot of like high-tech kind of things and so forth. I didn't remember seeing you on the screen. I mean, when Ashton gets all dudded up and whatever, like, colored things and so forth, that's very memorable. Yeah, on the screen. That's very memorable. So the answer is, I don't know, Ashton. I'd like to, obviously, but I have serious doubts. Besides, the senior year is the cool time because in the past, senior year, second semester, I let students form up into one big group if they want to. Yeah. Anyway, so we'll see. Those are kind of fun. You did, yeah. No, you don't share the point. You know how that is. And if you're wondering, if you're ever looking like, well, most groups, everyone gets close to the same point value, but occasionally there will be, truth be told, a student in a group who does nothing, is a slacker, and who wants to get the benefit of the other student's work. When the confidential feedback forms are turned back into me, that information is available and taken into account when those grades are assessed. And those groups have been like pretty much self-selected anyway, right? So anyway, okay. So we've got that coming up at 11 o'clock. Okay. Got your Google Classroom. Let me take care of this. Okay. You may actually have the same textbook that you had before. If you returned one to me, thank you. I will return a textbook, maybe the exact one you had before, if not another one, because I just grabbed the first one at the top of the stack. If I don't give one to you, it's because you don't give me nothing. Well, then bring it to me. That'd be really nice, because then I could, assign it to a 10th grader. So if you do, because I've got the list of the people who turned it in. Well, I don't need that. Okay. Is it? Well, if I'm not using it in class, and then you sort that out with your other peeps. If I don't give you one, then it's because you still have it at home, and hopefully you'll be able to find it. Because okay. So let me hand. I'll just walk these for. I just read that. Ashton and Jackson. Okay. I don't have the reading for you yet, although when I give you the next handout, you'll see which chapter we're going to be in. McKinley's. Yeah, you did. And Rodrigo. Oops. Okay. Some of you guys are like, Mr. Hansen's not going to give me one. How come I'm not going to give you one, Frank? What's the problem?
I don't think I've heard my.
You didn't. There's Livy's. And this is a book you get to use in here. It's lovely. So, yeah, you've got yours at home, and I think you've got yours at home. Yeah. No, that's fine. No, and that was, some people were asking, they're like, and in the past, typically, if we get to a normal end of the 11th grade year, I'm like, hang on to your books. We're going to use them again next year. So, but we didn't have that. You were just told, dump your books. And some of you did bring your books back to North Star. I still need that government one.
Okay.
Work it out with capital.
Yeah, I just need to go and give it back, but I don't even think you know that I have it.
Oh, they do. They've got a book room. They got scanners. I work there. They got scanners. They will send out a warrant. A warrant. You're gonna there's gonna be some federal van coming around, and they're gonna jump you and take. No, they won't. No, they won't.
Well, no, but they already fined me for the other things.
Oh, did you pay the fine?
No, but not on the books.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I'll let you sort it out. I'll let you sort that out. Okay, here we go. Ready? The handout that I gave you. Okay, take a look at that, because there are some very important changes for your class. And hopefully your IB teachers are notifying you of this as we go through. Okay? The really critical change that is taking place we're doing this one first. For history, keeping in mind that you, as juniors, were impacted by COVID. And you are continually being impacted, and they're hearing from around the world the continuing challenges facing IB students. The basic gist is this. In most IB schools, we're not able to cover things as well as we were in the past because of all kinds of interruptions. So they made adjustments in the requirements. If you look down about a third of the way down there where it says IB history assessments percentages toward final scores and so forth, from what I understand in history, that hasn't changed as far as the percentages, okay? But look at the third bullet point, EA, which anybody know what EA translates to in IB speak? Extended essay is EE. That's what it is, external assessment. So what is IA? Internal assessment. You do the internal one here, and the external one there. No, the external one is what you do in May. Okay? So here's one for you. Last year's seniors, how many external assessments, EAs, did they do? None. They were they were all canceled. Actually, you know what? My students would have been ready for that. We had April set aside to do in-class essay where we're going to calibrate the heck out of those guys. We covered all the material that we needed to. We had that last month before they were to do their essays, their external assessments. They were going to do it over and over and over till they were ready. And then they canceled the exams. So, by the way, guess what I did with those guys? Since we were all done and they weren't getting ready for the exams in May, we did. We did. We watched movies. I mean, it was weird. It was like, what's going on, Mr. Hanson? You're kind of like, what's the deal? Aren't you going to make us do more work? No. I made you do a lot of work up to that point, just like you guys are going to be feeling by the time you get to that same point. You'll be like, man, I've had a lot of work to do. In fact, it's going to be weird because, instead of late May or whatever your graduation was, now your graduation is what? June 1st. And school doesn't end until June 10th. What are we going to do with you guys after you finish, presumably, if we can have them, your IB exams in early mid-May? What? A Jenga tournament. We'll have a big Jenga tournament in here. I mean, traditionally in the past, there's been a week. For you guys, maybe it'll be a couple of weeks or so of what do you do? I mean, Miss Rao's got a really cool thing that goes on that she does with the students that kind of look at all kinds of various different aspects. It's very creative and cool. Other teachers have made choices to kind of continue preparing students for what they're going to be facing as they go into college. But that's one thing that's going on there. All right? Here's the deal. So last year, anybody know? For history, if they weren't taking paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, it was just the IA, something that counted for 20% of a traditional IB score for history. And the IAs are pretty much kind of in that range for the other courses as well. I think art is a little bit higher because it's like a big art portfolio thing. So, what the heck? Did they get their entire IB history score from a thing that was originally allocated for 20%? No, they did it pretty much on that. Yes. So interesting question, because you guys are halfway through the process. I would say some of you are less than halfway through the process because your first draft was in need of improvement before I can actually sit down with you and actually have a serious conversation about it. Some of you guys, your first draft was good enough for that conversation. So I'm actually going to, within the next couple of weeks, have a new due date for you to do an improved, or slightly improved, if you did a pretty good job the first go-around, improved first draft IA, okay? And if you're wondering, am I that person? You can check with me for sure, but if you got below a 90% as a grade on that, you're that person. And that has happened in the past. I had 2 seniors last year. Their first draft was I only get one official conversation with you to give you insight into the personal insight into making a good final draft. So you need to, turned to those two people and said, you need to make this better, generally better. And they did. And so I had the conversation with them, and then they did even better, final draft. And they passed IB history on the basis of their IA. And they got the IB history one. We had a like 96% pass rate for the IB history thing on the basis of what? The IA. Oh, and by the way, all but one of the students that went for the IB diploma got it. Here's the deal. The IA is like, and I put this in the writing so some of you are like, this sounds like what you wrote about. Yes. The IA is like an opportunity to get a head start in a race or more points in a volleyball game or basketball game at the beginning of the competition. Because you have so much control over it, it helps. You put the time and effort into it. That's what I do with my students. You guys work with me. I mean, you're here. Good grief, it's your senior year. Work with me. We'll help you through that process. And it's a good process moving forward into college, just like the extended essay. Although the good news, Satara, because you're hearing for the first time about the history IA, it's almost half the length of the extended essay. It actually is pretty quick. Some of you guys had a hard time crunching it into those word parameters. So we'll be working on that. But take a look at the third bullet point and the fourth bullet point there. Okay? Paper 1 is the same. That's going to be fine. Paper 1, no big deal. We'll get you the information you need to know to do paper 1. It's like one of the easiest parts of the IB exam. 1 hour, we'll train you on it. You'll probably write about Rwanda or Kosovo, whichever one comes up. You can't.
Okay.
Well, no, I mean, you can't for your thing. I don't know, you're able to go for IB English, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, I mean, and some folks in here aren't going for the full IB diploma. And in the junior class, it's about 50-50. I want to say in here it's about 60-70% are going for the full IB diploma-ish. That seems kind of right. If you're not in Spanish, I mean, so how many of you guys are in Spanish? Okay, so yeah, I mean, that's usually the indicator that you're going for the IB diploma. But those certificates are worth a lot. So for that course,
Okay.
yeah. So you'll be doing the English one in May. And any other ones? Are you taking any other IB course? Are you doing like an IB math course?
No, I'm not taking that. I haven't taken that.
Okay, IB science course?
I'm doing biology this year.
Okay, you didn't do it last year?
No.
Okay, all right. So we'll get it all sorted out. But yeah, I mean, if you're in the course, you do what they do in the course. But if you're able to actually go for the test and go for that, then that's great. Okay? So take a look at that third bullet point. Paper 2. Usually 2 essays on 2 topics, only 1 essay for 2021. That's a change from IB for you. You're like, well, what does that mean? Instead of sitting down for like an hour and a half writing 2 essays, I'm going to write 1 essay. Whoa, what's the diff? Well, here's the diff, okay? Paper 2 is 20th century wars, one topic area, Cold War, and in the past it's like sometimes the choices that they give you are like, they're not great. And so what I've done with students in the past second semester, senior year, is do a whole additional paper 2 topic called authoritarian governments. And so this is what I was doing with the seniors last year. They were doing individual research and reporting like 20-minute presentations in class on authoritarian governments like Hitler's Germany, Stalin's Soviet Union, Pilsudski's Poland. You're like, who? Yeah, I mean, some of them familiar, some of them less familiar. Since they're not doing that, if we're on a bit of a time crunch, we don't have to do that authoritarian unit. If you look down to like second semester, bullet points, Rwanda, Balkan, we'll do that, because that's a paper 1 topic. But authoritarian states, maybe we don't have to do that one. Here's what we will do. If all things are set And May, you guys are doing exams. April will be practice. Because practice is helpful before you do a bunch of essays. Yeah, I know, it's like, put together something like this. That's huge good news. I guess here's some more good news. Look at the last bullet point there where it says EA paper 3, usually 3 essays on 2 to 3 sections. Now, only 2 essays on 2 sections. And I'll remind you as you go forward, because some of you guys are like, I want to do both of the Mexican Revolution questions for paper 3. No, you have to pick one, but you can't do both. I mean, it's like a weird little thing. In the past, they didn't care about it. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, and so actually, I mean, as far as your hand cramping up, paper 3 was always really hard for students because they'd be writing for 2.5 hours, writing 3 45-minute-ish essays. So, I mean, just as far as like a physical burden relief, it helps as somebody who doesn't have good, you're fine. I can read your handwriting fine. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, so. But, I mean, they do it handwritten. Although, who knows? I mean, AP last spring, they did have students do the AP exams, and those were like on computers. So that was like the first time that students were like, doing that. Usually they're regular ones, they just sort of bubble in, or if they have things to write out, then they would do that. Okay? So, questions on what is covered and what we're looking at for this semester. I will tell you this. We'll start off with the remnant, as always, is always pretty much the case, the remnant of the last unit we did. The last unit was Cold War, part 1 of 3. We didn't get to India-Pakistan, or we didn't get to the Algerian. So that's what we're actually going to do first with you. It'll be a mini unit. And then we'll get to Cold War, part 2 of 3, and then Cold War, part 3 of 3. Yeah, because it was tucked away in your packet from last time, but I'm not going to require you to dig that out. So this is going to start out as kind of like a mini unit thingy. This here. No, but there's some tension. You talk about it in what? They're laughing at bloody tension between India and Pakistan. These guys are insensitive. I'm going to shame them. No, I mean, there's obviously some inside joke that you guys have got going on there. You can send me any video links. I will definitely probably watch them on my home things because sometimes people send me YouTube links and then YouTube thinks, you're twisted. How about these ones? And then they pop up on my screen. But no, I mean, if there's something funny, you can send those to me. Yeah, yeah. And I'll look at them and go, wow, Rodrigo, I've learned something about you. No, I mean, if it's funny, yeah, no, it's fine. If it's funny. Okay. All right. I want to make sure we've got going along, got the books distributed. Probably the first reading from the book is not going to be until we get to the next unit because the book doesn't really have anything on the India-Pakistan wars. So India-Pakistan war is going to be pretty much straight what we do in here. Okay? Have I covered all the like little bits and pieces and things? I will tell you, though, and some of you guys are like, well, if he makes eye contact with me, then I guess maybe I am one of those people that really does need to improve my first draft of my IA, because if you never looked on Power School to see what your grade was, then you wouldn't necessarily know that This is a good opportunity to, yeah, okay. Otherwise, if I didn't like give you that sort of like, "Ah," look, you did a pretty good job, but you'll have an opportunity to make some tweaks and improvements on that. And by the way, I'll give you, a couple of weeks on that, because I know, don't you guys have an extended essay due date coming up real soon? The one yesterday, the one where I was looking on Instagram for all those interesting, funny things, and one of your classmates was like, what do I do? 48 hours to write 4,000 words on what? No, that wasn't Daniel. Yeah, it was Caden, yeah. I'm like, dude. No, I mean, I feel for you. Because some of you sent me like first drafts. If you're one of my peeps, because I got 5 peeps, you sent me first drafts. Some of you guys have been really good about communicating over that. But yeah. No, I haven't had a chance yet. No, but we'll talk. Yeah, we'll talk. Because this is an improvement process. And Mrs. Rao is very, very serious about how you guys do an extended essay. I'm serious too, although I would have to say this. Extended essay, for the amount of words and effort and time and so forth and the value you have as a project itself, actually calculates and factors very small into whether or not you get the IB diploma. For the IB diploma, 24 is the magic number. And students, like last year, seniors, were picking up a point or maybe 2 on the basis of how they did on the TOK combination of the extended essay. Mostly what helped those students get the IB diploma, all but one, was that they did well in their history, English, Spanish, math, science, their elective, and we had strength across the board in those areas, right? Shout out to Sitar's mom. Yeah, I mean, her students did great, as did the whole math department. So, but those are like, you can get up to 7. 7's crazy. 6, 5, 4. If you get 4, and you get 4 in English, ding, 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 ding. Somebody quick, do the math. 4 in English, 4 in history, 4 in biology. What have we got so far? I've only said 3 different things. 3 times 4. History, yeah. History. And then, you say you get a 4 in elective, 4 in your Spanish, 4 in math. Add those up. 24. Did you get the IB diploma? Did your extended essay thing factor into getting